welcome. And it's hard to imagine that Booking is 27 years old and Ctrip 24 years old. And you're both very different animals, right? Because Booking started deeply Dutch, then went truly global, and then Trip, deeply Chinese, now very global with a very strong Southeast Asian print. So to kick off this panel, I want to just reshare this chart from Focusrite, really showing the shift from offline to online in Asia from 2013 to 2025, showing really quite a marked shift, right? So I asked each of you to share one human data point about the region that should get our audience excited. So Nuno.
Yeah, I can definitely kick it off. Look, for me, it's humans are traveling. So if we look at January to July this year, we had 40% year over year in Asia, if we exclude China. And that just shows that it's not just about pent-up demand anymore. We have consistent demand. People want to travel. They want to explore again the world. And that, for me, excites me. And I think it's quite of a human also touch to what we're looking at travel. At the same time, I think yesterday, during some of the sessions, we talked about some of the daunting future-looking sort of perspectives. We have macroeconomic situation, inflation, the market's probably having some sort of recession. When we look at our APAC confidence index that we have done this year, we actually see 59% of Asian travelers want to prioritize travel, and actually they are going to let go or forego consumer, like physical goods, to prioritize travel. So they actually are planning to spend more. So I'm excited about that.
Fantastic. Jai?
Pre-pandemic, Asia Pacific was the fastest growing region, over 900 billion in terms of direct travel and tourism GDP. Post-pandemic, 2022, it created almost 9 million jobs and it contributes over 5% to the overall growth of the GDP. So I think this is really exciting for Asia Pacific.
Fantastic. So more growth to come. So the book, Nuno, The Machine Under the Spell of Booking.com, that came out a couple of years ago, it puts forth the idea that Booking turned the internet into a sales platform, right? So that wherever you go, you land on Booking.com, and performance marketing was the main fuel of growth, right? Does that strategy work in Asia? Is it still as effective in Asia?
Yeah, look, I don't think it's as simple as obviously as that or as easy. I think relentless execution is super important, and that's what I've seen across many years I've been with the company. Look, it's super important for us to recognize that different geographies around the world operate differently. Also now with new demographies, we're talking about Gen Z, millennials now at 40, it seems that I'm at that group. And the interesting part to me is that we adjusted. So we adapted across the world of what makes sense in terms of Asia or North America, and we have impacted those differences. If we look at what is important, obviously it is important that Google does not operate everywhere. So we know Naver, for example, is the number one in Korea. We know that in China, for example, we cannot rely on that platform. So we do have to adjust to the local players. But I think at the same time, as we really manage to execute well on the PPC, on the pay-per performance, we've also managed to drive a lot of direct consumers. So if you look at Glenn, he has highlighted a lot in many of the earnings conferences where we are really focused on driving direct. I think no different from the rest of the industry. We also see the value of attracting consumers and the value of loyalty. Okay. So I think that's another key element.
All right, so we'll get into more demand generation questions later. But Chai, I mean, Trip.com is more obsessed with app downloads and monthly active users, right? So what human behavior trends have you seen on the app?
I think if we give you a number in terms of the number of app downloads globally, currently we're already exceeding 3 billion globally. In 2022, we added another about 5 million app downloads. But more importantly is the way we are interacting with users on our app. As some of you may know, we have launched Trip Moments on our Trip.com app, which is very different from a very transactional app. In 2023, 2022, kind of year-on-year basis, we have seen a almost 300% growth in terms of users engaging on Trip Moments. So that really signifies how actually users are doing different things on the app versus traditionally just doing transactions.
Right, so really content generation, right?
Exactly.
Okay, all right. So we saw yesterday too a lot of talk about trends towards longer stays, how the market, multi-generational travel. So that must be impacting how you're thinking about supply. So what are you doing interesting in Asia on the supply side that's different from other markets?
Yeah. And look, I actually agree. Supply is really important. So it's not just table stakes. I think that there's a huge opportunity when we look at the accommodation segment, particularly if you think about hotels, vacation rental. And not to tout our own horns, but we have been doing a really good job of having a platform, a marketplace that actually caters for both hotels and vacation rental.
Are you seeing more growth in the vacation rental space right now?
I think that there's a huge opportunity on both still, but yes, vacation rental, because of the long stays, it's an untapped opportunity. And if you look at the opportunity in Asia in itself, it's also a market that we're very keen to explore. We have been doing this. We have over 7 million listings globally. We are operating more. We're creating innovation in terms of that space too. But our idea is that we have a marketplace that serves both, like it's what the customer wants. And then we have to make sure that this incrementality demand for both our hotel partners and vacation rental. And so far it has been quite, I think, successful in the way that we have showcased this to consumers.
Okay, so Chai Trip has been also doing more with hotels, right? You got Ticket Plus Hotel, you got Hotel Plus, so you're bundling. Mm-hmm. So what kind of trends are you seeing on that bundling?
Yeah, I think the thing is we have learned a lot from mainland China. As Siew mentioned, we started off in mainland China, right? So what we have done over the last few years is that during the pandemic, because we were trying to really help the industry grow, our chairman actually personally went region to region, provinces to province to promote what we call the Boss Live Show. And basically through the Boss Live Show, we actually were able to generate billions of dollars in terms of GMV as well as transactions for our Chinese hotels. And what we did was we also started to launch, to Sian's point, the Hotel Plus X model. Because other than just going to stay in a hotel, people want to experience the properties. So when they experience the properties, we heard about wellness, we heard about afternoon tea, and it has continued that trend internationally. So we have launched a live boss show. We have also launched Hotel Plus X. You talked about, say, Taylor Swift. We just launched a Hotel Plus Jay Chou concert in Bangkok, and it sold like hotcakes, like in a split second. So again, that on a week-on-week basis, we saw a triple-digit growth in terms of hotel bookings, as well as flight bookings into Bangkok, just because we launched the Hotel Plus Jay Chou concert. So that trend is continuing, and we are continuing to actually expand that in international. Whether it's in Japan, for example, in some of the ryokans, some of the experiences where they have full board, we bundle Hotel Plus X. And this is something that hotels love, because basically it helps them with incremental revenue, it helps them with higher ADR.
Yeah, it seems to me like in the OT world, the supply is almost a hygiene already, right? Everybody's getting the same content from all different pipes. Actually, it's all the same content from the same pipes. So really what differentiates one OTA from the other, from my novice customer perspective, is like how you innovate, how you bundle, right? And also demand generation and customer service, right? So let's talk about demand generation. And we've heard Eric said that social media is becoming a conversion engine. Are you seeing that?
Look, and I would just say maybe a side note to that is obviously supply is super important, not to be taken like when I started in the company, my previous CEO.
I don't mean to dismiss what you've done with supply.
No. Yeah. Case Colin said, look, no rooms equals no sales. So that's when I started like many years ago. And for me, that's super important. Indeed, it's the foundation element that we have to have. But the fact is, without that and without a platform that caters for what consumers are looking, if we want to have sustainability choices, we have to also provide in secondary, tertiary markets options. If we now look at demand, yes, then we have to look at what are we consumers doing on social media, where are they searching, can we then help them convert when they are at the dream stage of exploring and then coming down the funnel. And that's the part that we now are learning and looking at what we can do more. I think the interesting part there is that obviously if you have a platform that you cater for payments, for example, I think it's critical because then they can pay on their own currency on what they wish to pay, and that will be a conversion element that will support. So social media, other search engines are important, but it's about when they come to the platform, what options you have for them to book, and how can they actually then transact.
Okay, so Chai, Trip Moments, social media, How does that convert for you?
Very, very critical for us. Actually, even pre-pandemic, we already realized demand generation is one of the key differentiators for us. So if you look at the Ctrip platform, some of you may use Ctrip, and if you look at the Trip Moments, the Trip app itself, we have actually moved from a transactional platform to what we call a content generation plus transactional platform. It's a whole travel ecosystem. Why do we do that? Because we realize, first of all, traffic is very expensive to acquire. So instead of having to go outside to acquire to the likes of Google and other search engines to buy traffic, we created our own travel ecosystem within our app. And if you look at our Ctrip app, we actually allow even users to go online to actually do their own live show. Why? Because we want to create organic traffic within our app itself for users to come in and sell organically built travel products. Right? So this is something that's very different from us versus many of our international competitors, because we want to create a travel ecosystem within our app where organic travel traffic is within the system for them to actually inspire. For example, Trip Moments, for people going on the app, they can share their ideas on how to go from point A to point B, or they can actually sell travel products on our app itself.
So your own customers become your own sales force, basically,
exactly,
right? So
exactly.
you're unleashing
It's a very
sales,
organic kind of traffic that we're trying to build.
All right. So talking about partnership innovations, Booking.com doing a lot of sporting events, right? Major League Baseball, FIFA Women's Club. I heard you acted as a referee for some of the teams, is that right? For the Women's World Cup?
Yeah, no, a long time ago. Not at the World Cup level, yes, but I was a...
Anyway, it must have been a blast because Spain won, right? So doing more sporting partnerships?
Yeah, look, I was so excited to be there because it was such a unique opportunity. And yes, I think sports, it's a huge, not just because I'm very passionate about it, but it's a huge opportunity. Sports tourism represents around 25% of the overall tourism. And it's one of the fastest growing segments. So it's an exciting opportunity for us. And we see that travel and sports connect. You have to travel, it's an experience. So it's an opportunity for us to be at moments where it connects with the passion of consumers. We have done it, yes, World Cup, for example, now for the women's. We're doing it for ICC, so in a couple of weeks, I'll be in India, in Delhi, as we're going to start to kick off that multi-year sponsorship that we had already with ICC. And cricket is a huge market also in Asia Pacific, particularly in India with all the billions now overtaking in terms of population China. So we look at these opportunities as moments where we can be with travelers, where they are going to make their choices, and it's something that's speaking to them.
So it gives you like a hockey stick of growth for certain periods. Are you generating 9-digit sales?
Look, we are generating a lot of growth. What I can share, it's an interesting one. I was there for the finals in the World Cup of Spain against UK, and just those days, we had a 180% search rise searches in domestic in Australia, and then over 70% internationally. And that's just consumers that wanted the day before to travel and watch the match internationally or even within Australia. So it does show just the sheer opportunity we have there, and goes end to end maybe with the Taylor Swift concerts that we were just been speaking about.
Yeah, Siew, just now you asked the same question to K-Look, and then you asked him the same question about triple digit. From our perspective, the Taylor Swift concert or the JHK concert is really just a hook. It's really just a hook for us to be able to get access to additional new users, right? Because how much incremental business are you going to drive from 1,000 tickets, for example? So from our perspective, it is a hook. It is an opportunity for us to bring in new users, not so much to drive 9-digit revenue growth in itself.
Okay, thanks for putting me in my place. So, so one thing that Trip does a lot of flash sales. I mean, the Boss Live Show and all that, right? So has that continued to be a strong demand generator? And can I ask if it generates 9-digit figure sales for you, live streaming?
Globally, yes. Like I mentioned, I think if you look at total in terms of live streaming, right, we actually generated $1.48 billion in totality over the last few years, right? In terms of global viewers, over 1 billion global viewers. So yes, 9 digits in terms of overall over the last few years together. But if you say internationally, for example, I can give you a few numbers, right? We did a live show for Thailand. We generated about $5 million in terms of GMV.
5 million?
$5 million. We did one for Japan. We generated about $3 million. And then we did one for Hong Kong, which generated about $4 million. So it is not 9 digits, it's 7 digits, but it is still having a great impact globally.
Wow, okay. I mean, what do these 1 billion people do? I mean, don't they have a life? Watching live flash sales, amazing. Okay, so let's go to. I have to bring up the topic, right? AI. We have to talk about it. I know, but where do you see it coming into play for you guys? Is it demand? Is it inspiration? Is it personalization? Is customer service?
Well, look, I would start with all of the above. So it's an opportunity, and yesterday I think a lot of the sessions already covered sort of the different moments that we were seeing now with our AI trip planner that we have launched in the US first, and then we're looking to expand it globally. I think the idea, the importance first, we're looking at consumers. What are consumers looking for? How can we inspire them? How can we make sure that they are getting different touch points and potentially going to different destinations that they weren't considering because they didn't know about them. So I think that's an important opportunity that opens doors there. And then at the same time, it's also an opportunity to decrease the customer service touch points, to increase efficiency, to decrease the amount of queries that our partners are receiving. And we're already seeing that. And particularly also then we look at productivity from a partner side, it's also an opportunity there.
What percentage of your transactions now are fully AI, no humans involved? Like, must be super high, right?
Look, it always has been. We have an online travel agent, so we have very little touch points. I think it's more, we are looking for it's when people need support, then we are there, and that's what the customer service is going to be there for.
But do you see, and Chai, I'll bring you in, because Trip.com is you're known for your customer service. I mean, that's one thing that really, to me, differentiates you as well, right? So do you see AI reducing the number of humans required in that customer service?
So 75% of our customer service attention is actually taken over by AI chatbot. So only 25% is still managed by human, right? To your point about our customer service, we pride ourselves because 95% of our calls are answered within 20 seconds. This is something that's really differentiating us. Now, going back to AI, how is it helping us? Other than customer service, we also launched a series of curated AI technology. So, for example, Trip Moments is one of them. We also launched Trip Genie. So now through voice, if you ask, hey, what is the cheapest flight I can get from Bangkok to Shanghai? Straight away, we'll bring you to the flight path on Trip.com app, and you should see various options to be able to book flights from Bangkok to Shanghai. That's one option. We also launched what we call Trip Trends, which is basically if you go and say, what are the latest trends that people are looking at? Is it going to a Marina Bay Sands, or is it going to let's say Sunway Resort in KL? They actually have all these different trends. So again, it actually stimulates and inspires travel. We also what we have called Trip Deals. People are looking for values. So if you go and search Trip Deals, you will see a series of deals that's being listed that people actually can see, that can book for value. And last but not least, we also launched a list, a tripbest.com Trip Best list, which is basically luxury properties that people are looking for, that people premium products that they're looking for internationally. So using all AI to actually help our customers make an informed decision. Okay,
so the next one will be Trip Sustainable, because I'm going to go to the audience poll and I'm going to ask this question. I'm going to ask you guys because you talk about cheapest and we need to move to sustainable as well, right? So the next question is, having a sustainable travel badge or some form of certification leads to higher conversions for hotels on an OTA website. Do you agree or disagree? And Nuno, worldwide Booking has 50,000 plus properties, out of which 32,000 are in Asia and 200 in Singapore. Are you seeing more bookings on properties with this badge?
I think for now, yes, but to be honest, that is not the intent of the badge, right? So the intent of the badge is to help the consumer. That's why we've started this program, and we've been one of the first OTAs in Asia Pacific to really be leading in that space, and we're very proud of that because it's part of our also long-term objectives. We see definitely an opportunity to help educate consumers of their choices because they want to book sustainable, they just need to know where. And then at the same time, we're working on our partners, and I think it's really critical is that a lot of our large partners have the ability to have certifications. A lot of our mid-sized and small partners need the travel badge program like ours to be able to showcase their efforts. And that's what we want to reward them, and we want to showcase the efforts that are being done across the tourism industry.
But Chai, do you think that it's really confusing for the consumer, this sustainable travel badge? What does it mean? Like there's so many badges, right? So do you think we need to come up with, just as yesterday Eric talked about a global KPI that all humans can see that we are contributing to emissions, right? Should there be a global standard badge to make it easy?
Okay, first of all, I think I agree that there should be a badge, right? Because it creates awareness. I think at this moment, in fact, last week in one of other events I was attending, the first thing we did think about is, first of all, we need to create awareness and make information available to everyone. Right? Are we going to get a global badge? I think first of all, let's get the information out there first, because for us to get alignment across the world to get a global, to wear one badge itself, I think it's going to take a hell of work, right? So I think what we want to do is at least to inform our customers, put in the labels, talk about carbon emission. So for example, about 4% of our tickets are actually being 4% of the ticket that that people spend on tickets is actually used to offset emission. Why? Because we also put in flight carbon emission information on our site to allow customers to actually book this kind of green tickets. And actually, we saw a 15% uplift in terms of conversion for those who have labels versus no labels.
Okay. All right. So let's go to what leads to highest conversions. One word answer.
One word answer. Well, we talked about price yesterday. I would say overall picture then would be value. So the value for consumer, it's really the high overarching element.
Okay.
Information.
Yeah,
okay. Contents. Anything to do with providing our customers with the right information to make an informed decision.
Okay. So Chai, I mean, Trip seems to do many things well. What doesn't it do that well that it can get better at?
Customer service.
Customer service? You think?
Want to do better.
Okay. Nuno, one thing that Booking can get better at?
We always want more supply.
Supply.
Yes, okay. Supply.
All right, so I'm going to test your humanity here. Chai, the human spirit you admire the most in others?
Passion.
Nuno, the human you admire the most?
Eliud Kipchoge. I think he goes that no human is limited, and I strongly believe that. It's a very positive perspective of the world.
Okay. Chai, what makes you laugh? Is it James Liang doing the live boss show?
Cantonese soap opera, comedy by Stephen Chow.
Okay. And Nuno, what makes you dance?
Well, I'm known amongst the team with some dance moves. Usually I love salsa, Latin music, but I actually travel, see so many people, so every time I travel, then I usually tend to dance and enjoy. For me, that helps me.
So you heard it here. Tonight we're going to have some dancers for the closing party, so Nuno is going to join the dancing team.
I'll open the floor then.
Thank you, Chai and Nuno. Thank you so much.
Thank you.